Welcome, Mr. Ibrahim. Please have a seat. My name is Nelson Makanda. I am the chairman for this selection panel. And on the onset, allow me to thank you.
Thank you very much.
For showing interest in the advertised position of a member of IEBC Commission, which we advertised on behalf of Kenyans. And allow me to congratulate you for being shortlisted for the same. And that's why you're here. And I noticed that you came with members of the gallery. We also welcome them to follow the proceedings. I want to invite my colleagues to introduce themselves, and then we'll come to you. Linda, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
My name is 𝐌𝐮𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐼. I take this opportunity to welcome you for this interview session.
Thank you very much.
Bwana Ibrahim.
Yes.
Habari asubuhi.
Salama.
Karibu.
Asante.
Mimi naitwa Bwana 𝐼𝐻𝐾𝐝, mwanachama wa jopo hili la uteuzi.
Asante Bwana 𝐻𝐾𝐝. Karibu.
Ibrahim, Caroline Kituko, a member of the panel. Welcome.
Asante.
Good morning, Bwana Mustafa.
Good morning to you, Prof.
My name is Adam Solo, a member of the selection panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
My name is Nicodemus Bore and Karibu sana.
Asante.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My name is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel. Please feel welcome.
Asante.
Good morning, Mr. Mustafa Ibrahim.
Good morning to you, Balozi.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
My name is 𝐌𝐮𝐬𝐿 and I'm a member of the panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mustafa.
Good morning to you, sir.
My name is 𝐻𝐵C. I'm a member of this selection panel and we welcome you.
Asante.
Okay, Mustafa, we want to come to you and ask that you introduce yourself, highlight your profile, and those things that you think are significant for us to know in relation to the position that you have applied for. Let us know if you have any award or honor that has been given to you, and if you belong to any professional society or group. Kindly proceed.
Thank you very much.
You have a pen and a notebook?
Yes.
For your use. Thank you.
Asante. Thank you very much. I am Mustafa Muhammad Ibrahim. I'm a Kenyan national. I, of course, applied for this position having worked in the public service for 18 years. I joined the public service as a third secretary cadet in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I have grown through the ranks and left the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a minister councillor in 2022, after which I moved to the Public Service Commission on secondment, where I'm deployed as the Deputy Director of Research in the office of the chairperson. In my academic journey, I actually hold a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Nairobi and a Master's of Contemporary Diplomacy from Malta University, where I actually graduated with a distinction. I'm also a holder of a Master of Science in Security Sector Management from Cranfield University. At Cranfield, actually, I went to Cranfield under scholarship from the Foreign and Commonwealth Office of the United Kingdom. Cranfield University is it actually hosts the Defense and Security College of the Royal Defense Forces. It is the college where the Royal Defense Forces trains its senior officers for leadership positions. At Cranfield, I wrote the best thesis and I was awarded with a thesis prize. I have also trained in management and diplomacy. Specifically, I actually hold a certificate in strategic leadership development and senior management course. I've also been trained as in public diplomacy at Diplo Foundation in Malta. And I've also, of course, received training at the UNITA and at the Egyptian Institute for Diplomatic Studies. In my career, I have served as a head of chancery which is the administrative head of a Kenya mission abroad. I've also served as a deputy head of mission, and at some point I also served as an acting head of mission. I've been privileged to serve in our missions abroad, Kenya Embassy in Libya, where I helped evacuate Kenyan nationals at a very difficult time. I think in Libya, I worked under very difficult circumstances and heavy pressure, which I think makes me prepared for the kind of pressures to expect at IBC. At Kenya Embassy in Paris, I've at some different times served as a head of chancery and deputy head of mission, where I was exposed to issues of leadership and management. And also now at the Public Service Commission, I've gotten useful insights in the workings of a constitutional commission like IBC, and being in the office of the chairperson, I've also gotten insights in the workings of a commission board. So I think I have been awarded things. So I've been commended several times by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for distinguished service. Specifically for my work in Libya, I was awarded a letter of commendation by the ministry and also by a non-government organization that goes by the name HAT. So I think I don't have any national honors yet, but I believe in the future I should get one. I think in terms of skills, I have diplomatic skills that will be very useful in bridging differences and building relationships. I have been exposed to dispute resolution. At some point, I was attached to IGAD, specifically the special mission to Somalia, where I got experience in mediating conflicts and in resolving disputes. At the Public Service Commission, of course, also got an experience in human resource management, which I think is also a critical function for the IBC. I think I will say that much for now.
Excellent, thank you. I want to invite Linda to ask you some questions. Linda, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Ibrahim, let me take this opportunity first to commend you for the work that you did in Libya in such dangerous circumstances. Even though you've not gotten a national award,
yes,
may you feel recognized this morning. And now that you have had such a great experience, you have experience in national security, intelligence. I've seen your trainings under the National Intelligence Security, and your master's is also in terms of security management. What experience do you intend to bring to the IEBC in the event that you're taken up as a commissioner?
Well, the training at Cranfield University at the Royal Defense College, I think has prepared me. It is actually a premier leadership training school for Royal Defense Forces. And I think I've acquired both academic and also I've gotten experience in leading a Kenya mission abroad. Of course, the experience of security sector management, I think there are two dimensions to it. It's a blend of both security studies and management. So security studies actually now speaks to the skills required, for instance, in dispute resolution. It's a critical function. And then also on management, which actually, of course, I mean, the course is about leadership. Because I think you know, it is a course that is actually mostly offered to officers in the rank of colonel and comparable positions in other security sector related institutions. I came in from Foreign Affairs, which is also, I think, treated as a security sector organization. So I bring on board leadership, conflict resolution, and dispute resolution, and developing of relationships. So some of actually the courses I've attended, like on public diplomacy, is about outreach to stakeholders. I have experience of working in missions where I actually cultivated relationships with stakeholders, including the diaspora and non-state actors, including non-government organizations like the one that awarded me, and also governments. Yeah. Of course, also civil society institutions, because I think now the practice of diplomacy is no longer limited to government executives. Yes.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would have asked him to express a difficult situation, but already he has done so during his work in Libya. So I will not belabor. Thank you, and I wish you all the very best.
Thank you, Madam
Thank
Linda.
Thank
But
you,
just
Chair.
to add, in my time in Libya, one of the people we helped evacuate ended up serving as a commissioner at the IBC, and later on also as a deputy head of mission. I think, of course, that is one of the many, maybe a notable individual, but our evacuation also covered even nationals from outside Kenya. So it's a high pressure environment. I think maybe not in the context that commissioners of the IBC will experience. I suppose that is, nothing can get as bad as what we experienced in Libya. Thank you very much for recognizing that.
Thank you so much.
You.
I wish you all the very best. Thank you, Chairman.
Just allow me to ask you a question in relation to that. What do you think is the significance of this role that you have applied for in terms of national security, in view of what you saw in Libya?
Well, my experience in Libya, both pre-conflict and also post-conflict, tells me the centrality of elections in ensuring stability of a country. Some of the reasons why Libya went the direction it went in 2011 is because of lack of elections in the country, which is an attribute of a democracy. Elections, of course, help people exercise their democratic right to choosing their leaders, helps them get involved in public life. And in Libya, that caused a problem. Of course, after the conflict, elections were held. But the elections, of course, did not lead to the desired stability because they were not done, I think, in a timely fashion. And then institutions conducting the elections were also not strong enough to guarantee free and fair elections, which is a necessary attribute for democracy and also peace and security. So elections can directly contribute to insecurity if not handled well. And I think from my experience in diplomacy and security sector, I'll bring experiences and competencies that will support the realization of a stable nation.
Election as a security issue.
It is.
Okay, thank you.
It is.
Thank you very much. I want to welcome Carol to be able to ask some questions, please.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Ibrahim, Article 38 of the Constitution grants every citizen the right to be registered as a voter. However, there are instances that the law has permitted the suspension of voter registration. Could you please explain to us what are those circumstances?
The first one is when elections are due, general elections or by-election, general elections first, 60 days before the date of the elections, registration is suspended. Number two, for by-elections, registration is suspended from the date of the declaration of the date of the by-election until after the elections. And then for referendum, when the referendum questions are declared, then it is suspended. And then fourthly, when there is an ongoing petition, then also registration is suspended, so as not to interfere with the register and the correct expression of the people who participated in the elections. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I wish you well, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to ask Madam Koki to ask some questions, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mr. Ibrahim,
Yes, Balozi.
IEBC already has electoral disputes efficiently and impartially. And also we have Election Offences Act, and we have the Electoral Code of Conduct. But we see during every election, or even the election year, campaigns start way before the campaign period is declared, and they continue until the election day. We also see a lot of other disputes that occur during the campaign, the nomination, and even the election time. And it seems like it is almost not understandable why these laws and the structures we have in place do not seem to deter these offenses and these actions. Should you be nominated as a member of IEBC, what practical steps and measures would you recommend to your colleagues and put in place that will actually, for once, deter these violations and breaches of Election Offences Act and violations of the Electoral Code of Conduct,
Yes.
which candidates sign to during elections? There are many, but just name four steps or four measures.
Okay. Well, thank you, Balozi. I think the first one is actually strict enforcement of the provisions of the Elections Act regarding, what parties actually need to do in terms of actually ensuring free and fair nominations. Number two is actually having strict timelines within which these disputes are resolved. And then thirdly is for political parties to publicly share the nomination rules governing the process. Fourthly is about actually stakeholder engagement with political parties, for the IBC actually to involve them on the need to ensure implementation of the Elections Act and the Code of Regulations. But having said this, Balozi, there are recommendations from the NATCO report that this function is best handled by the political parties dispute tribunal. Given the position of the IBC as a neutral arbiter, if the commission comes in to resolve disputes between a candidate and a political party, and then the same person actually probably feels aggrieved and then escalates the matter to the court, the IBC will be put in a very difficult situation where it will have to defend its position and thereby taking sides in the conflict. So the NATCO report recommends that this function be given to the political parties dispute tribunal through enactment of legislation. And of course, change of the constitution also, because I think it's a function under Article 880. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim, and all the best. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I invite FCPA to ask you a question, please.
Bwana Mustafa.
Yes.
I could see you are having a very good career at Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Yes.
So what was the drive to go to Public Service Commission? Was it on your own initiative, or how did it happen?
Well, the Public Service Commission is my employer. And when I was actually requested to join the Public Service Commission, I took it as an instruction.
Who requested?
It is the commission.
The PSC?
Yes.
Requested that
that I actually moved there on secondment. I had worked with the chairperson of the Public Service Commission.
Okay.
So, having worked with him before, he requested that I come and join him. Probably maybe because of what he admired about me, I believe.
Now I understand.
Yeah.
Now, you've told us you work in the office of the chairperson of the PSC. Are the IEBC,
Yes.
there is also the office of the chairperson
Yes.
and also the role of other commissioners. So under the second schedule of the IEBC Act, there are provisions on how to conduct the business and the affairs of the commission.
Yes.
It has clearly stipulated how the affairs of the commission should be undertaken. And the commission here, I'm defining it as chairperson and the commissioners, yeah, in terms of their meetings. So kindly elaborate to us what the procedure or how business conducted at the commission, IBC in this case.
Yes. Well, the IBC commission, and allow me to use the term board. I know actually there is no clarity on the use of the word commission or commission board or IBC, but I think in the practice of the Public Service Commission is that the commissioners collectively are described as the board, and it's the board versus the secretariat, but the collectivity forms the PSC. I know there is no clarity in the usage of these in the context of IBC, but decisions, of course, the commission board has the responsibility over one, policy formulation, strategic direction, and oversight, while the secretariat is responsible for the day-to-day management of the activities.
That one is okay. I want in that boardroom,
yes,
when they are having their meetings, how it has been provided how meetings should be conducted.
Yes, I think there is a provision on quorum.
Which is how many?
The quorum is 5, but the absence of a commissioner that will not actually necessitate, that there is no quorum. Then secondly, it is about the manner of decision making. Consensus is encouraged, but if that is not achieved, then voting is actually conducted. Then there's also provision for dispute resolution. The other thing is about, the secretariat keeping proper records of all the deliberations and the decisions made, and dissemination of the same to the concerned entities, be it, of course, the stakeholders or even the members of the secretariat. The other one is that the chair chairs meetings and the CEO is the secretary. Yes.
Frequency of meetings?
Frequency once a month, or as and when needed, of course, with proper notice and with the concurrence of the members.
How do you handle conflict of interest in the meetings?
Conflict of interest, if there is first of all, you declare according to Article 73 on principles of leadership and integrity. And you also don't take part in the deliberations and in the voting. That's how you handle it. Of course, and also you register.
Thank you, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I invite Misati to ask you some questions. Misati, please.
Thanks so much, Chair. Mustafa, I want to take you back to the boundary delimitation, which is the role of IPC. And at the review of the boundary delimitation in 2012, there are some constituencies which were affected, and they were now called protected constituencies. If you are a commissioner in IPC and you have to make some decisions, and the Isiolo South is one of them, and you find that it's still being affected, what could you do and you're a commissioner?
Well, I actually am a voter in Isiolo South constituency. So maybe just for declaration of interest, as Bwana Tanui actually, of course, alluded to. One is, of course, I will declare that I may have interest as a voter in that constituency. But most importantly, I will be guided by the law and the constitution. I, of course, and here there is also the Article 10 that speaks to the values, national values and principles of governance, and the Article 232 on values and principles of public service, which one require that actually remain impartial. And then there's also the article on principles of leadership, that in decision making, I should remain objective and impartial. Then we will involve the people. The people will ventilate, of course, their grievances and aspirations. And if there's need for me not to recuse myself, I will recuse. Of course, maybe adding to the question lined by Bwana Tanui, there may be established procedures for recusal. But on the question of Isiolo South, I think there is also the principle of community interest and geographical whatever, which I mean, there are issues that are not for me to decide, but which actually, of course, will be ventilated by the people, and then the rest of the commissioners can make a decision on. I don't have to actually personally get involved.
Let us be very honest. The boundary delimitation is a very motive issue.
Yes.
The fact that you come from that same region, you want to tell me the expectations of the people of Isiolo,
yes,
as much you cannot run away from it.
Yes.
Let us face the facts.
Yes.
But do you agree with me that it will be a challenge when you're a commissioner when such issues are being addressed? So how will you address those issues? We don't really call it a conflict of interest, but something that touches on your people, and you have to make an informed decision. It's a very emotive issue.
It is.
You cannot run away from it.
No doubt.
Because the moment you run away with it,
yes,
expectation of the people where you come from will be like, kijana yetu wako.
Yes.
So they'll be expecting, they have a legitimate expectation.
That's right.
So how will you address it?
Well, I think actually I'll stick to the law. You see, the best I can do is, like I have a responsibility to, of course, engage, civic engagement with the people. And that's a responsibility I have not only to the people of Isiolo South, but the rest of Kenya. Engage stakeholders, tell them about, of course, the provisions of the law and the constitution, and then they can actually transact it, prosecute their case themselves without necessarily having me be the advocate. And I think my responsibilities stop there. Of course, I'll be transparent and candid with my people, tell them about the limits of what I can do without them necessarily putting undue pressure on me. I think it's something I can handle, and my people will understand.
Thanks so much. So from where you sit and the timelines before the general election next 2027,
yes,
are you seeing a possibility of us doing boundary delimitation from where you sit?
Well, the Constitution, I think, has put in timelines that the review should be done between 8 to 12 years of the last review, which in this case has lapsed in March last year. So we are outside the constitutional timelines. Number two, there's also the question of actually having to conclude the boundaries review 1 year ahead of elections for it to be implemented in the next elections, Now, the timeline for that is still open, but then the question on the timelines has not been concluded. I understand that the CEO of the IEBC has written to the Supreme Court seeking constitutional advisory on whether the timelines can be extended. The NATCO report has also, I think, dwelt on that by recommending legislation to expand the timelines. I think this is a matter that the Commission may not be in a position to conclude without first the Supreme Court or Parliament. And I think it's also not very clear whose responsibility it will be to extend the timelines. Is it the people, is it Parliament, or is it the Supreme Court? Because this is something that is in the Constitution. Having said that, then there's also the issue of if that is actually taken out of the way, there is the Constitution presupposes the need for extensive stakeholder engagement. There are 290 constituencies. If you allocate 1 day per constituency, you will spend 290 days, working days for that matter, between now and say maybe that if you look at the number of days, that will go to maybe towards end of next year, and by which time the timeline for its implementation before 2027 will have lapsed. So maybe these are all the things that we can put into consideration, and let's see how it goes.
Thanks so much,
Yes.
and I wish you luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to invite Fatuma to ask you some questions. Fatuma, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mustafa, please tell the panel, if you get appointed, how would you operationalize the IEBC engagement with the diaspora and the special interest groups using policy and structural framework?
I think for the diaspora, maybe just to say that I was privileged to be in the Kenya mission in Paris when voter registration and even election for the diaspora was done in Europe, in Berlin. Some of the issues that came out of my experience in Paris is that we need first to establish a working framework with the diaspora, maybe establishing contacts with the diaspora associations. In France, for instance, we had the Kenya in France Umbrella Association, which I think will be very critical in this regard. And then there is also need for having help desks in the embassies and Kenya missions abroad. But then most importantly, also have units and directorates that are dedicated to the work of encouraging, the realization of the progressive rights of the diaspora to vote. Then, because, and this is something I think KRA has done very well, they engage the diaspora on social media platforms like Space, have discussions on what they exactly need. Because my experience in France, for instance, tells me that the diaspora is more concerned with having a representative in parliament than actually just exercising their right to vote. Of course, without underplaying the importance of civic participation and voting, I think it is important that we also incentivize the diaspora to come out and vote by giving them, for instance, representatives in parliament. Then civic education, voter education, civic engagement with the diaspora. I think these are some of the issues that will inform my strategy towards involving the diaspora.
Thank you so much, and I wish you well.
Asante sana.
To you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to ask 𝐿 to ask a question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mustafa.
Yes.
Having worked at Public Service Commission and as a researcher,
Yes.
I think Deputy Director Research.
Yes.
What is the place of research in IEBC, and will it support the decision making?
Yeah, it will. I hope you're done, sir.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Research will inform policy. And of course, that will make implementation of informed decisions for the benefit of the people of Kenya. Like, for instance, we need to actually do research in what effective methods we can employ in deploying technology that will be cheap, because I think there's also the issue of cost that we are grappling with. But then most importantly, also research into new ways of doing things by employing new technologies such as AI, blockchain, and others. Then, of course, research is important in also bringing out issues that affected our elections in the past. Of course, the time it was annulled in 2017 and also in 2022. What did we do right? Where do we need to improve on? And of course, in also bringing on board best practices from across the world. These are things, of course, that I think a department, if there's none in the IBC, then there's need for its creation, establishment, that a department of research can do, and what research can do for the organization.
Kenyans don't really consume research findings.
Yes.
The only thing that most of us consume are the presidential research polls.
Yes.
Where we know this person is winning, this person is losing.
Yes.
That's where Kenyans really do consume. How will you entrench the use of research findings in IEBC to help run the electoral body?
One is, I think, establish a fully fledged department of research and data analytics that will institutionalize research in the organization. Number two is actually connecting research to decision making and policy implementation. The number three is engaging stakeholders on the need for them to onboard the research that is either done commissioned by IBC or development partners in implementation of their programs and activities. But then most importantly, we need change management. I mean, it's about an organizational culture that can be engendered by the new leadership in the chairperson and the commissioners to reset mindsets in accepting to use research and data analytics in our day-to-day activities.
Thank you, Mustafa, and all the best.
Asante sana.
Mustafa, you made a proposal about representation of diaspora voters.
Yes.
In what form will that be?
Well, this can be without, of course, changing a lot of laws and the constitution. They can be first accommodated in nomination in parliament and also in the county assemblies. This is probably the first, pressing upon political parties or encouraging them to give a quota for the diaspora. But then the second option will be more, I think, profound and long-lasting, is a change in law reserving seats for the diaspora in our parliament and also in the county assemblies. These, of course, will necessitate a change in the laws, though. I think those are the two options available. And probably maybe, yeah, well, I think so. It can be done.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Professor Adams, please.
Thank you, Chair. Mustafa Mohammed Ibrahim.
Yes, sir.
I must say, I was intrigued, just like FCPA Tanui, when I looked at your career path.
Yes, sir.
And then all of a sudden, I see you have gone to PSC.
Yes.
So when you answered him that it was on request from your former boss, I believe,
yes,
or colleague, I even got more intrigued. And it left me wondering, when Mustafa is now applying for IEBC commissioner, is it that the tenure of his former boss is ending? Or is it that Mustafa now wants to be a commissioner? Which is which? Because, and I ask this based on the knowledge that most career diplomats, since I have done my studies on foreign affairs,
yes,
most career diplomats have been feeling slighted, that they go the career path. Then when it comes to appointing of ambassadors, irrespective of which regime, either a former retired general or a politician who lost elections gets appointed, and yet them they have been doing that their career. So that's why I'm intrigued by this shift. Maybe you can explain to me, I know you did on the part of SP Tanui,
Yes.
but what informs this another twist to want to be a commissioner?
Well, I think it's a legitimate aspiration for every one of us to want to rise to the top.
Yes.
And for me, that is actually the motivation. But then also, I mean, just for the records, the term of the chair of the Public Service Commission is yet to lapse. He actually is almost like midway in his tenure. Number three is actually, of course, like I mentioned in response to panelist Kiome's question, is I have been out there, worked in a country where elections was alien, and also worked in a place where, I mean, a mature democracy, where elections actually are free and fair, and contestations over it are limited. I, of course, have learned a lot, and I think there are lessons that I can actually infuse in the workings and operations of IBC. I mean, in France, for instance, there is the commission, of course, I mean, the electoral management body is the Interior Ministry. I don't think that would be a practice I would want to borrow here, I mean, import here. But then what is intriguing for me is that the election officials are not paid. These are volunteers. And, you know, I mean, electoral financing is a little bit tight, though not perfect. Then there is also the issue of deployment of technology. And then also, most importantly, from my experience in Libya, Somalia, and the rest of the Horn of Africa, I've seen the centrality of elections in the continued stability of a country. And I think these are maybe competencies and skills that I can bring on board, which of course will benefit myself first before everybody else, but it's good for the country. And as a diplomat, I've been trained to be a patriot first. And this is, of course, just a continuation of my patriotism and duty to country.
Well spoken, like a diplomat.
Thank you very much.
I didn't expect less. Now, according to the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, how should leadership in constitutional commissions such as the IEBC differ from management roles? Basically, how will you adapt? You've been in management roles.
Yes.
And constitutional commissions are a different ball game.
That's right. Well, first, of course, I borrow from what the laws have actually assigned the commission board. That's oversight, policy formulation, and strategic direction. Now, when the commission, for instance, sits to make a policy or formulates a policy, it is the work of the secretariat to implement. Like, for instance, the commission make decisions on what type of technology, of course, with the advice of the secretariat and other stakeholders, the type of technology to deploy. It is the work of the secretariat to procure, for instance, for that technology, ensure that specifications are there too. And while, of course, for instance, now in the management of elections and transmission of the results, declaration, the commission, the chairperson is responsible for declaring the results. But it is the work of the secretariat to put the necessary infrastructure in place and also manage election officials, of course, accredit observers, accredit agents and all that. So the work is shared, and there is need for proper delineation of responsibilities to ensure there is no conflict.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mustafa, did you say you belong to any professional group?
Well, I don't, sir.
You don't? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Prof, your last questions, please.
Mustafa, we usually have what you can call the general questions, and we first start from your area of expertise.
Yes.
Your long service in the Foreign Affairs Ministry. So I want to ask you a question there that goes into the evolution of the Foreign Affairs Ministry.
Yes.
The Foreign Affairs, what would finally become the Foreign Affairs Ministry used to be called External Affairs. Which office was it housed in, or in which office was it a department, and in which year did it become a fully fledged ministry on its own?
Well, the Department of Foreign Affairs was under the Office of the President. I am not very sure about when it became a fully fledged
Very well.
ministry, but I know actually our first embassies were open in 1965, so maybe around
90?
there, just ahead.
90?
64.
Okay. I don't know whether you're a football fan, but let me try.
Yes.
In which country will the AFCON 2025, that is the African Cup of Nations football tournament, be held this year?
2025.
Yeah.
Morocco?
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mustafa. We have enjoyed listening to you, and the engagement quite robust, and we're grateful. Do you have any comment or any question? In a minute, kindly.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I wish to thank you for this opportunity. First, for shortlisting me, and then for, of course, treating me so kindly. I actually see the questions that you have posed as a learning opportunity for me. And since this interview is published, is publicly televised, and I hope actually it's also a learning experience for the rest of Kenyans. I may not have gotten all the questions right, but I believe it is something that where I've fallen short, I will just go and read. It doesn't matter whether I get the job or not. It is good for me to learn the workings of the IBC, part of my civic duty. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I look forward to a favorable outcome. I wish you well in the work, in the remainder of the interviews you're going to conduct. Kenyans are looking up to you. Even as we talk about integrity, I think it is important that, and Kenyans have actually, on several occasions pronounced themselves on this. It is important that the appointment of commissioners, of course, is done above board. The selection panel here, of course, represents the same. I know none of you is affiliated to government. You are going to do a good job. For me, it's just a vote of thanks and confidence. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and blessings to you. Thank you, members of the gallery, for coming to support your colleague, friend, or whatever brother. Please pick your notebook and pen and even water. Your certificates are at the door with the lady who escorted you in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. The next one is Mwanamisi Ali Libondo.